just now getting into the game itself. And it seems that we are correct. It's definitely going to be Nomad yet again from the Jedi Master Z. So let's throw the map, rather for 4, and it's, oh, that's a funny spawn. Because there are a lot of pawns in the middle, and they usually serve as pretty nasty decoys, because you may be tempted to dog them. And once you dog them and discover that there are not enough fishies, well, you are then having a lot of resources wasted. It's definitely going to be interesting how the players tackle this problem. If somebody's gonna fall for it, looking at the civilizations, it's Vikings, Persians, Mayans. Whereas Influenzino, exactly as you said, Janet, is going to be Chinese for him. So Chinese, Persians, Vikings right now for the Jedi Master Z. Okay, so Robobolo right now going with Fun Villager, very right. And the rest is somewhere. Building a pretty good position. That's a very nice position with double bars, double gold, and stone. Oh, triple gold. That's very good for Robo, actually. It's a very nice spot.
Yeah, that is a good spot. And he has nice fish in the bottom as well in the south. Yeah.
But considering that he's going to be between Mio and Dark Knight on the water in there, yeah, he's probably not gonna survive all that much, even though he is Viking, so it might be worth it for him to fight, of course.
Well, between Robo and Dark Knight, there is still Blue, John. So let's see how that plays out.
And Heimdall being cut off, and with Influenzino and Robo, that might be pretty bad news for VNs. Because, of course, as we have said, Robo and Influenzino are quite used and very good playing Nomad. So this definitely isn't good position right now for VN Heimdall, and I'm curious how he's gonna fare. He is Mayan, so might potentially be okay. If he gets into Castle Age with Pluntaches, he should be able to defend and Castle Drop or some such, but is he gonna get there? Yeah, that's another question.
Yeah, and you know, players can always go left or right, and from Vikings I would rather expect, you know, action on the water. From Persians, for example, more action on land. So it's not as easy to foresee everything, you know, just looking at the minimap right now. Can I just call out a few people? There is Pran, there is Cannibals, there is... Who else is on the chat? You know, a couple of Jedi here following Rocks is here. So it's nice that some people are watching this that are actually really involved and are, you know, cheering.
Most definitely, and that they can cheer for their clan. That's exactly why we host RTS League. And looking at the TC positions, right now John Boy is having an absolutely horrible one, because he doesn't have any resources at all. Like, he doesn't have any hunt, he doesn't have any gold, he doesn't have any stone. He has like nothing, he has just Dark Knight right next to him. So that's really kind of weird placement for him, and it's not much better for Dark Knight, even though he's closer. Potentially the gold and stone at the top. But still, the position for Bon Jovi is really bad. He has like literally nothing.
Yeah. He couldn't, or he didn't find sheep either. It's a bit of a...
And they were basically stolen by Green, I'm thinking, because Green is having a bit more of them. And a villager lost right now for Blue.
Yeah, we saw it both. He was trying to find more sheep, probably. Not a good start.
Switching into his point of view to actually see what he sees, and he has discovered at least stone behind the tree line, but otherwise he sees absolutely nothing still. And he has actually fallen for the trap. He has docked onto the inland sea, which means that he's of course not going to be having all that many fishies. Even though it's not tragic, there are at least some. It's going to be bad if he overdoes it.
There's really not that much fish. There's two big fish with the... Let's take a look. Oh, the first one is running out already, less than 90. And the second one has 225. And apart from that, well, the other is really far. Yeah, not great.
Not really great indeed. In the meantime, if I have a look right now at Mio, he has actually been able to lock in pretty good position. Not only is he having boar, he's having like, I don't know, a whole herd of sheep. A whole ton of them, together with gold and stone. And pretty much about a triple hunt right next to his base. So that's actually a super placement for him. I mean, absolutely everything in abundance in there.
That is 10 deer, I just counted them. Yeah.
That's absolutely brutal for him. And he has even relic on top of that, and oh my. And he should be able to actually defend himself quite well, because there is just a small choke point for him to divide him from actually influencing you. So I'm kind of thinking he might be quite dangerous for the later game, because I don't expect that anybody is going to be annoying him all that much. And somehow, Blue has actually managed to locate a boar and some extra sheep.
That's really good for him. Doesn't, you know, decide the game early on. So he'll definitely stay in the game and play a role here. And just a note about Miyo. Due to the map generation between Influenza and Miyo, there is a rather narrow choke point, so it can be walled off. And now imagine a Persian player who controls pretty much the entire north of the map. That sounds really dangerous to me.
Definitely does. And looking at the villages, right now, of course, Jumbo is paying for the bad placement of the town center, as he's just at the 12 villages. Whereas Heimdall is at 15, that's the second worst. And the best, influencing, of course, but he is Chinese, so he does have the bonus. So you could be basically thinking that Dark Knight is basically the same position as him, with right now 20 villages, so they are basically the same. And Dark Knight is already trying to wall basically the blue player in. Maybe protect himself, not exactly sure. But looking into his point of view, you're probably gonna see. Oh, he just knows that the opponent is in there, so that's more like a defensive wall-in. Probably expecting that his opponent might be having some kind of good map, but of course that's not really the case.
I'm just looking at Robo, he's getting boar number 4, so Robo had a good start.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely gonna help with that. And so far on the water, he's having about 5 fishing boats right now, and actually building more or not. So far he isn't, so he's kinda thinking it might be enough, looking at Dark Knight, who is having 6 bit or rather below him. And it's going to be interesting if maybe early Robobro goes for some galleys in the early game, which I'm thinking is basically something that Vikings do all or rather pretty much all the time, but he is against another Viking. So it might be basically a one-on-one battle between Dark Knight and Robo on the water. Whereas everything else is gonna be somewhere else also happening.
Yeah. Also, you shouldn't underestimate Chinese on water, because they get a very fast castle age and then fire ships. So
Right now I'm looking at how he's dropping a dock at the top, but I was just curiously looking at how he built the mill in the basically farthest point into the sea, and he's using it for the shorefish as the fastest food source, so that's definitely a clever play by him. Not even interested in the deer so far. Yep, that's exactly how you do it.
Some flaring going on by Robo, showing his allies the resources, yes.
He's definitely signaling just stone. So that's
yeah, that was
probably...
just stone. Like a minute ago, he was flaring all the gold. So yeah, good coordination there.
Yeah, it's right now basically letting Influenza know where the mines are, because Influenza, even though he does have some mines inside his base, he has to travel for the gold, of course, as he doesn't have it readily available. And interestingly enough, Heimdall has actually walled quite a big portion of his map, and he's going for double palisade, so he's expecting pretty bad moments for him to come. Probably knowing that he's going to be alone on there, as on the left he is on the water, of course, with influencing as well. So, yep, there might be a lot of engagement for him, both on the water and on the land. And right now, looking at the TC placement, it actually might come back to bite him, because it's very close to the water. And if he happens to lose it, then of course, he's gonna be losing a lot of economy potentially in there. That really might be a bit of a problem for him a bit later, as we are seeing some first boats moving around for red. Even though, yeah, he is already in feudal age here with influencing a Dark Knight, and he seems to be basically transporting them to the bottom to his docks that are going to be, yeah, exactly ready.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you call a jackpot. Robo really has the best fish of all players here in the south, and it makes perfect sense he brings them back before everyone hits, you know, feudal age and potentially kills them off. So that's a good call.
It's a pretty clever idea. In the meantime, he is of course building at least a few galleys in the dock at the top, so basically making a Dark Knight commit into the top side of the fight, giving him some extra time for basically preparing at the bottom. So that's another pretty clever play by him, try to buy himself some time. be in a better position against the Viking that is leading in the score so far. So he is like 100 better in the score, which is quite a lot. So
yeah. I'm just looking where Influenza is dropping his army buildings, and it looks like he's interested in Heimdall. Now, Heimdall is a Mayan player.
but he
Yeah,
has walled
could
himself
work.
in, so it's going to be pretty
Yes.
hard for him.
That's the thing with Mayans. They get cheaper walls. They can drop a castle really fast because, you know, plumed archers is always a good idea. So Influenza might have trouble to break in and, you know, do damage, while Mio has not walled this narrow choke point at all.
That's
So
a pretty big
I'm
mistake, to
wondering
be
whether...
honest. And looking
Yeah.
at the fast castle from Influenzio, even though Heimdall is also dropping a pretty fast castle, so we should be expecting some kind of defensive castle. I would be thinking probably between the goals, might be. The
I
gold
mean,
mines in there.
1742 is something you get to see on Black Forest with regular resources a lot. So good job there.
It's pretty decent. And right now, Mio, he is trying to wall a bit more closer to him than he actually needs to. So I'm going to be switching into his point of view to see how much he has actually scouted. And he does see the choke point, but he probably doesn't realize that there's a water at the bottom. Or actually, he should be realizing it, looking at what he has discovered through the sheep and such. It's really kind of curious that he isn't walled yet. It's really going to be easy for him, but maybe right now going with the scout in there, he's going to be realizing how easy the defense could be against his opponent,
Yeah.
and well, let's see about that.
And you see there's 2 scouts from Influenza that had just picked up a villager from Mio. Mio has walled up a little with palisades, etc. But he could have controlled really the entire north there just by walling this choke point. It's a
He's
bit of a
basically
loss
right
there.
now walled in from what I see. He has finished even on the top right side, so he's pretty much safe. He's having so many resources there, so unless he loses water or some such, he should be really fine. Basically to stay in there. And he might just be a bit of a problem once he starts running out of place.
Yeah.
That might be a problem for him with farms coming in and such.
And now that Influenza is actually going fire ships and pushing onto Heimdall, he should wall the choke point as fast as possible. And I can see walls coming up from John Bon Jovi, and I don't think this wall is complete. I hope he makes sure that this wall is complete. You see, there was just a deer walking past. Oh my, oh my. He should really make sure this choke point is walled.
At the top right now, Influenzino trying to see if there's a way through. Yeah, apparently there really isn't, so Mio didn't make any kind of mistake. That's definitely great for him. And we are right now looking at extra scores coming up across the board. Influenzino is already having 2. Is it just 2 or... Ah yeah, third is coming up right now.
Okay, and Robo has quite a few galleys, and Dark Knight is running from Robo, but he's only gonna run into the fire ships from
exactly.
yeah, Influenza. So water looking good for Team Jedi.
Quite interesting placement of castle though from Orange.
Yeah, it's a castle to basically exactly to build a dock in front.
So he is basically thinking that he might be coming back into the water, which is kind of interesting. And looking how Influenzio and Robo are not actually paying attention to the few green boats on the left, it's kind of costing him in the economy, so they might want to be a bit more careful than that.
Yeah, Influenza losing quite a few fishing ships there for nothing. Could have destroyed all these ships already.
Yeah, fireboats right now coming from Orange, so that seems to be the unit of choice for him. But right now, of course, he's gonna be losing the dock, and well, he should be still fine. Build his own in there. And Influenzio has broken through the wall somewhere. Ah, in the middle. Yeah, right next to the siege workshop. So there's already some units.
He got in. And the space that Heimdall has now for himself shrank quite a bit. I mean, he does have golds, he does have stone, so it's not terrible. But he can't build a big economy in this narrow spot, I think.
Yeah, it's still vulnerable to the water. It's basically right next to it, all of it. So he definitely needs to win it. If he doesn't, he doesn't have anything. That's okay, so for him.
Well, blue has walled up, but it's just one palisade. I hope he tells Influencer to wall up as fast as possible, because there's a knight and a scout already.
Yeah,
Ah, yes,
it's
there's
looking
the
pretty
flare.
bad.
There's the flare, and I'm not sure it's actually in time, because this palisade is
Oh,
going
that's
down
coming down.
quickly.
Definitely coming down right now, and Villager is nowhere to be seen so far.
Died to the scout, yeah.
So that's not good news. So Market is right now
Not...
dropped by
No.
Influencius, so he might be actually thinking about helping some of his allies. With some resources, he's already switching into camels as we are looking into his base. And otherwise looking at the villagers, exactly. How is this possible? He's only 56 villagers, and the second best is 39. Like
Well,
seriously, what the hell?
honestly, the fact that VN doesn't have a single Chinese player is a mistake in my opinion. It kind of shows that they're not experienced Nomad players. They're good players overall, you know, they're probably all 2K. But they're not Nomad players, really.
Right now, pretty decent trade in by Mio. He was able to get into Influencio's base, so he's trying to kill at least a few of them that we're right now gathering gold, but that's not going to be all that long-lived, of course. But on the water, interestingly enough, Dark Knight is having a lot of galleys right next to Robo. That's actually quite a lot of them right now, dropping Castle Age, Robo as well. But still, Green is going to be slightly faster, and with Robo
Yes.
coming with everything back, there might be some opportunity for Orange to come back somehow. Dropping it in another town center next to gold, and he's having actually a decent amount of fireships right now. It's almost looking like that he's going to be putting the teal player out of business.
Yeah, the thing with Chinese is they get a fast castle age and they get their initial fire ships, but they usually don't go for water, really. They do their damage on water, but they switch to land quickly. And we can see that from Influenza. There's 2 rams and a mangonel getting ready in the siege workshop. And plumed archer as well. Another town center coming up for Heimdall. So honestly, many people say that, I don't know, Byzantines are great to be defensive or Teutons are great to be defensive. I think, in my opinion, Mayans are the best defensive civilization.
There was right now a quite interesting fight right next to the next TC that John Bowie in the middle of the map trying to make. So it's quite close for him. You can see that he also had to defend his 2 villages, and Coinage coming in for Dark Knight. Okay, so he's thinking that maybe the fight on the water might be coming too close, and he might be switching into full-on slinging. But still coming up with in University, so probably going to be continuing with the water fighting in the meantime. And there are some yellow dots at the top. Ah, okay, that's just some 2 scouts forgotten by Influenzio. Some sheep, nothing else. Nothing really all that interesting. And looking, for example, at Mio's base, they've been so far 3 TCs, which is pretty fine, and he's switching into camels as well. And he seems to be building basically everything, like into the left side, into Heimdall's part of the map. So he's probably going to be helping fully in the defense. As of course we are going to be...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there's going to be actually already a raid-in attempted by Heimdall, who is having at least a few plumed archers in the base. But of course Mangonel is already waiting for him, and as well are at least a few knights. But he needs to be a bit more careful because of course there are quite enough of them to get rid of it. But it almost looked like that actually Influenzio was quite nicely microing at the more damaged plumed archers. Really seemed like that he was moving around, so that was well played, and he was able to reduce the numbers quite nicely, even with just 2 knights in there. So good job by him.
Okay, and Heimdall just realized that there's a Castle Age push coming for him. Let's see how he reacts. He just dropped a few farms, but apart from that... okay, removed farms, and he's building gates now. Alright.
Okay, that's gonna be a pretty big problem for him, because of course with plumed archers, kinda hard to defend against rams and knights. It's not exactly
he needs
the
siege now.
army.
Yeah. Oh, and he's building a siege workshop in the worst place maybe, because Influenza is pushing through the middle, and he's building the workshop, you know, quite far from there.
But he's gonna get help right now from Mio, who is already coming into Imperial Age, and Red was going for Coinage as well, so Roboboro also will be switching into a bit of slinging, so doing with Vikings, basically thinking that they are quite nicely ready for it, and this attack should be stopped. Those camels should be pretty much fine, even though there is still the hill, and there's going to be some good shots from the Mangonels potentially. Doesn't really look like it. And it should be pretty nicely defended right now. But still, it basically means that Mio needs to be helping Heimdall fully to defend just against Influenzino. So once, I don't know, maybe the sling kicks in, might be a bit of a problem for them.
And just by the way, there's an Imperial Age coming up for Mio, and Dark Knight is tributing or slinging Mio, player in purple. So the Persians are getting a sling now.
Yeah, that's going to be a pretty tough deal for Influenzino to handle, but he's still having such a strong economy, 105 villages, Mio having 80, Heimdall 58, Probobor 57, Jumbo with 92 though. That's not half bad, considering how bad the town center and start he did have at the very start, but of course, he's not being pressured because he's against the Viking, which means he doesn't face any kind of threat, so he can do whatever he wants.
Persian town centers work faster, obviously, that's their bonus. And while the blue Persian is basically booming up, the purple Persian is already doing damage and is an Imperial. So, starting to look better for Vienna.
Yeah, and the reason why actually blue is doing so well right now is because he's having 5 town centers. So that of course kind of makes sense that he's going to be able to place so many villages onto the map, whereas Mio is just at 4. So that's of course the reason why he is right now lagging, and actually quite significantly already. And it might actually be somehow trickling through their fingers, even though it looked like that this link might be working for them. But on the water, Mio is right now losing basically everything due to red trading. He's doing a pretty good job right now, even getting on the farms at the very top and potentially the gold. He's being pursued by green, but of course kind of hard for him to get caught up with. And Imperial Age is coming for, oh my, almost everybody. So basically I'm guessing everyone but Vikings.
Yeah, I'm looking in the central area now, where it's Influenza against, well, Mio and Heimdall. So there's a mix now, knights and camels. But these camels from Influenza, they will go down so quickly against plumed archers. And there's a castle coming up on the hill.
Yeah, that's a pretty good placement for him. And if they control this hill, they definitely won't, or rather will be, in a pretty good position to defend against any kind of push. And I'm kinda liking the hill exactly right now, where they are shooting at the lone villager. And that's probably going to be a spot where Heimdall will definitely want to go, because it's a very high hill.
I just really hope that player in blue, Bon Jovi there, won't overboom, because that kind of happens sometimes with Persians. You know, you're so happy you got a million town centers, but the bonus is nice, but it's not OP. So he should prepare, you know, build army buildings, build siege workshops now, and not boom up to 140 villages.
Yeah, he already is right now, basically in the middle, between red and teal. There are a few stables coming up, as we are looking at a whole lot of upgrades right now coming in. Imperial Age and Forging for John Bowie. So of course there's going to be paladins from him, Cavalier, Coinage, Iron Casting for Mio. With Captrem on top of that. And Influenzino going Imperial, Heimdall as well, and Husbandry right now coming for Influenzino as well. So yeah, exactly the upgrades that you would be expecting, and we should be seeing a switch into basically full-on Cavaliers and Paladins later on for all of them.
Yeah. Do you remember last game when there was only, well, there was a difference in team score of 3,500 or something after 32 minutes? Now it's only like 500 difference. So this game is not over at all.
Right now we're looking at basically Mio being quite nicely set up behind Heimdall at the top corner of Heimdall's peninsula. So he's quite close by, he doesn't have to actually send everything from his home base. He's even rebuilding right now, basically on the battlefield. And we are also seeing Heimdall switching to Eagles.
Sorry, but Influenza is just making a small mistake. He just engaged with Castle Age army while he had plate barding armor and cavalier in the works. He lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 knights there, at least.
Yeah, that definitely wasn't great, and especially with the extra castle fire. He's probably hoping they can force some mangonel shots. He definitely is forcing them.
He got one, yeah, he got one.
That was pretty nice for him. There are actually no upgrades into the armor for Heimdall yet. We should definitely make up for that.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing, you know, for ranged units you get the attack upgrades first, for melee units you get the armor first.
And right now, pretty important defensive castle coming up from Influenzio. But
Oh,
look at how they are not doing all that well on the water. I'm just right now waiting for the cannon galleon from the Viking, from Dark Knight. Because of course, looking at how close all the buildings right now, especially from Influenzio, are to the water, that could be so killing him.
And I'm just looking at blue cavaliers going where? Are they going towards the west? Because blue should really just, you know, kill green. He has no defenses really.
You're kinda right that he might be doing a better job if he went basically to kill the green, because green, exactly as you say, has absolutely no defenses. He isn't ready for anything, so I'm thinking that if they build some extra castles, Influenzio and such, he could be just hold it, even if he's going to be losing ground. He can still remain alive for quite some time, even though trebuchets are coming in right now. Still, interesting choice.
Paladin upgrade coming in for blue, so that is good news. Paladin researched already for Mio in purple. Let's take a look. Military, only 21 military for Mio. That is not too much.
I'm right now thinking if it would be good idea for Influenzio to try and switch into Chukonos, because of course he doesn't have paladins as Chinese, so it's going to be kind
heavy
of
camels.
Excuse me?
I didn't get it. TeamSpeak cut out. Camels, did you say, or what?
I was actually thinking if Influenzio might be going for Chukonos, if it might help basically counterplay some of the blue.
Yes. Chukonos sounds very good. Yeah.
He of course doesn't have paladins as Chinese, so he's going to be shooting himself in the foot quite inevitably against the paladins.
Yes, I mean, if the Persian is going for paladins, then Chukonu would be the perfect addition. Yes. Also onagers.
Blue flares actually into the middle of the map, so he's maybe thinking he might be doing something. He's right now realizing there is a hole in the wall in the middle.
He deleted the wall, yes.
Yeah, and there is probably going to be something happening from him. Not really sure what.
He could go right, yeah. Big fight in the middle now, though.
I was a bit afraid in there, and we are looking... Oh man, that's a big one.
If the game is not running smooth, by the way, you can always try to click on 50% or...
problems with a bit of like apparent play. But the paladins from blue are finally in, and looking at the upgrades, he's fully upgraded. Green, rather teal, he doesn't have the attack upgraded, whereas purple is also fully upgraded, so that's basically quite equal. Influencing right now calling all palace.
But they need onagers or mangonels or something. Just something.
Just too many of those puntaches in there. It's pretty dangerous, but the hill advantage right now for the trebuchets might be working for them. As he's getting rid of the opponent.
Mio sniping, yeah. Mio sniping the enemy trebuchets. That was 3.
But right now, of course, there's extra cast of fire, which is of course always deadly against any kind of units. But there might be an attempt through the left, through the bottom, leave through water. Some
more blue paladins coming in as well. But are they going back? Yes, they're all going back. All right.
Right now the economies are pretty much the same for Mio and Bon Jovi, so they should be having kind of equal game. They are also having equal population limit, pretty much 180, both of them. So they seem to be basically on par. So I'm thinking it's going to be decided by the other players, by right now Heimdall and Influenzio, who is going to be supplying better and more useful units and in more timely time.
Yeah. Well, Heimdall got a fortified wall in the meantime, and there's only one trebuchet firing from blue, so blue is not seriously interested in green, which is a bit of a mistake in my opinion. He could have rushed in, you know. I think Influenza could have held without big problems.
Interesting stuff right now. Mio going for chemistry, so we might be seeing, I don't know, bombard cannons or bombard towers maybe. He could be thinking about a bit more defense on the situation, as he's thinking that they are actually losing it a bit.
Take a look at the choke point. Mio is trying to wall. Can they prevent it? The wall is still open.
Oh,
no.
Those villages in there.
No, no, it's walled now. It is walled now, and Influenza losing quite a few vills.
Oh yeah, he's gonna finish, but of course, So yeah, that's going to be pretty much a death trap for all those villagers in there. Oh my. But I'm not really thinking he's going to be mining all that much, even though of course that's a pretty big luck right now from Mio that they were able to see this, because if they weren't, that would have been pretty nice surprise. Right now, is he actually saying that he cannot make army anymore? He does have resources, so he has lost the buildings. It's almost looking like that. Although he's having 3 more. But right now they are deciding that they're actually gonna quit. I'm not exactly sure what the reason could be. It really might be because of the lack of military buildings, but he seems to be having enough of them. They are resigning.
Well, Robo was on very low resources. He was a Viking. Let me just quickly take a look at the tributing, because there was quite some slinging going on here. So just need my game to cover up. Okay, so tribute sent. Robo sent 13,200 and Dark Knight sent 19,000. So that's almost almost 6,000 difference. Then we have Bon John Bowie, who received 5k and almost 8k for Flu.
It's
So
pretty much the same from your Influenzino. So I'm not exactly really sure so far. Why did they resign? Or rather, why did he call that he cannot make army anymore? Because looking at his bank, he's having 2,000 food, 6,000 wood, so he could have even sold something. 900 gold still. But he's probably thinking
no.
that he lost basically the position in there, and he cannot make the unit safely, and they will be just dead all too soon due to the plumtages and such.
Well, the water belonged to VN, and that is always important for the choke points and to make progress, you know, or to gain ground. And I think the sling was just a little bit stronger from VN, and Mio was in a better position than Bon Jombovi. So
Yeah, there was some kind of sneak also by John Bovey. If you have a look right next to Green, he was having 1 trebuchet next to the castle trying to put through. And though Green was having defense through mangonels and about 3 million of walls.
yeah.
But it was some kind of idea. But really, that might have been a much better choice, exactly as you said
Yeah.
some minutes ago, to basically kill the slinger and then deal
But
with the rest.
you know, especially on Nomad, it is very easy to talk for the casters, but the players, they have to start without a scout, and that makes it extremely difficult to make perfect decisions. So yeah, that's the 2-0, I guess. Let's just go back.
Yeah, just now going through the post game. Again, just basically the slinging was the most interesting stuff that was happening. Ages high in the end from Mio, 156, but John Bovey at 146 wasn't bad either. So yep, GG, and 2 over so far for VNs.